Hey guys, Saka here with another Kerbal Space Program video. Today we're looking at the Gemini 6 mission. Crew on board, we have Jebediah and Bill, but we don't need Bill. Bye, Bill. So we'll just send up Jebediah for Gemini 6A. Today's mission for Jebediah is to get a 100,000 meter orbit around the planet Kerbal, and he will be the receiving spacecraft. So what he will do is he will launch from the pad, get his circular orbit, and then just wait for Gemini 7 to meet up with him. So Jebediah is on the pad, he's smiling, he's ready to go, throttle up, and we have liftoff of Gemini 6A. The rocket that we're using here is different from our previous ones, as there is nothing radially mounted around the sides. And this rocket is a lot easier to control, I think, because of it. The center of thrust is right below the center of mass, and it pushes it all together. Then again, you have, your symmetry in the vehicle assembly building, which keeps the center of mass, right over that engine. But it makes a difference. It's flying towards the sun, almost to 100 meters a second now, and halfway through the fuel of our first stage there down at the bottom. And Jebediah seems to be happy. He knows he's going to go on an EVA this mission. So, after splashing down in the Kerbal Ocean, he deserves a little treat. A little free fall around the planet. About 150 meters a second now. Almost done with the fuel in that first stage. And then as we climb towards our gravity turn, I like to plan my first stage ending just after the gravity turn, because I've had problems in the past where if I'm still going vertical in my second stage, the third stage kind of smashes into me. So pitching over to our 90, firing off that third stage there, and we are now on our primary stage. Opening up our orbit map now, we're holding good attitude. And Jebediah, of course, has a real good attitude because he's half courageous and half stupid. So he's always happy. 20,000 meters now. Looking at my ship stats for Gemini 6. 40 tons and falling thanks to our fuel consumption. I like the new info panels in this update. It's kind of cool to see, little tidbits about your spacecraft, how much it weighs, and all that stuff. It's not as in-depth as the mechanical Jeb mods that I've seen that tell you exactly how much delta V you're packing and all that stuff, but it's a step in the right direction. So this first 50,000 meters takes forever, unfortunately. But once we reach the outer edges of the Kerbal atmosphere, we really start to pick up and our apoapse really starts to climb. 33,000 meters now, holding a nice 45-degree angle on that 90-degree trajectory right on the equator, unlike our poor Sputnik that's still flying around the planet there. Almost to 50,000, and then it's almost like someone flips on a switch. As soon as you hit 50,000, all of a sudden it really starts to go, and you start hauling the mail, as Tom Hanks does in Apollo 13. Climbing now almost 3/4 of the way up to our 100,000 meter goal. And since I notice I traditionally pick up a few thousand meters during my apoapse burn to circularize, I cut it a little bit short. So we look at the celestial plane there, sun sitting high in the sky. I guess it's not the sky anymore. Sitting high on the celestial sphere. Adding our delta V now to circularize our orbit once again, shooting for that 100,000 goal. So we'll just use very small changes in delta V once we have our paraapse and our apoapse almost identical. And those two look really good. That it's it's good to shoot a little low or a little high. That way, as long as you're consistent, that way it's an even burn on both sides once you get that part circularized. But this isn't a perfect world, and Kerbal Space Program isn't a perfect game because there's humans involved. And when humans are controlling Kerbals, bad things happen. But fast forwarding time to our apoapse, and we start to burn. My electric charge is gaining the charge that it lost, because as you rotate the capsule without engines firing, you lose that electric charge if you don't have a battery pack and a solar panel installed. And those take up weight, and these tutorial spacecraft were not configured with the new electric charge models, so I didn't want to put any extra weight on them. But there we go, burning at apoapse. Our parapse spins around, and we gained 10,000, 11,000, or 20,000 meters in that burn. But we're 7,000 short on this side and 14 too high on the other, so we will fire at our parapse retrograde to bring down our altitude. So some finagling to raise it back up to 100. It's 95, 99.1. So if I pull this off correctly, I'll only be 900 meters short, which is a job for RCS. RCS is a very fine control because it has such low delta V. It's good for not overshooting your target. So pointing at our maneuver node now, 2 minutes out, and we will accelerate time to get us there a little bit faster. It's tempting to use the 3 and 4 stage time acceleration, but I've passed up my maneuver node so many times doing that I just keep it a conservative 2. Until there, when I realize I can probably go to 3. When you're in a low Kerbal orbit, 3 is about as fast as you should go, otherwise you'll just be doing laps around the planet, you'll miss your node. But here we go, starting to fire RCS, and I realized it might take a while, so I just crack open the throttle a little bit on our main engine there. Alright, that burn's done, so we'll see where that put us. Get rid of the maneuver node, and that put us at 99.3. So then I will go ahead and spin around prograde. Now when you're only 700 meters off your projected target, RCS is just fine. So I will park it there on the prograde, turn on my RCS engines, fire forward, and as you can see, my numbers are really accurate now. So there's 100,000 meters with 8 extra meters left to spare, but that's close enough. So we'll head on maneuver node on the other side of the planet and raise up our parapse to meet our apoapse. And the perfect scenario would be they are identical, so that means our 2 nodes would spin around to our left and our right at exactly the same height. So that's what we're shooting for. And since it's a 30-minute orbit around the planet Kerbin, it'll take us 15 minutes to get to the other side of the planet. And then notice, because it is the half and half, we are actually pointing retrograde now. But when we accelerate time and get to our maneuver node, that retrograde point will actually become our prograde point. So our spaceship doesn't move, but the planet rotates under us. And you can see it there. We're now looking straight down at the ground, and then we'll be seeing a Kerbal sunrise. And when that blue marker hits right in that prograde marker, that's actually the points of fire if we've set up our maneuver node correctly. If we set up our maneuver node directly right on that parapse, then they will meet, and that will be the point of firing. But you can see I'm a few seconds off, but close enough. We only need 5 meters a second to raise up. We only need to raise up 4,000 meters. So I just crack open the throttle a bit, and there's 99.6 and 100. So I'll just do fine tuning with the RCS again, just going forward and back at that prograde marker, speeding up and slowing down, making sure that I am still on the horizon, because we don't want an inclination change, we just want to change our altitude, which is done right on that horizon line. But there we go, a nice stable orbit at 99 and a 100, less than 1,000 meters difference. It's a nice circular orbit, and we will launch Gemini 7 shortly to meet it, and Jebediah will have company. So until next time, Jebediah will keep his nose pointed down at the 180 degree mark, and we will see you next episode. Thanks for watching.